Oh my gosh, guys, how cool is this? It's the Audeze LCD-R, R as in ribbon. That's what they say. I guess there's a little controversy there. Is it a plain R or a ribbon? You know, definitions, but they call it a ribbon because the trace basically covers the entire membrane, which is not common for plain Rs, and it's super low impedance, like 2 ohms, which is why you will need its companion here, the Jotunheim A from our friends over at Schiit. So this guy has been specially designed to pair with this. Also, I don't know if it's this exact same unit or a very similar unit that can be used to power the SR1As, which are a true ribbon and have that same sort of low impedance issue. So let's scoot this guy out of here for a minute and just focus on these. These things are just so pretty. Oh my god, this cool like scorched wood thing, and I love the like semi-gold, coppery, greeny mesh behind the classic LCD metal whatever. You got your carbon fiber up there, beautiful soft leather, and these, watch out, these will cut you. These phasers are insane, and they're actually pretty close to your ear. You really got to sort of bias this thing with the, back of your ear touching the back of the pad. At least I did. Maybe you got low profile ears. If you got high profile ears, I don't know if this one's going to be for you. I'm sorry to say. But the good news for anyone thinking about one of these is that you can't have it pretty much, so it doesn't matter. There are less than 7 of these things in the wild. The nice thing is I think this is something people want to try. I don't know if it's something they want to own forever, so like they do come up on the used market and they do move around a little bit. So if you desperately want one and you're patient, I think you will get the opportunity to buy one for probably more than it sold for originally. And we don't know if Audeze is going to do anything else with this technology. We don't know if there's going to be a V2 or if they're going to commercialize it. I'm assuming it was very hard to make a profit on, which is why they released it in such small quantities and just made it cool and probably didn't make any money on it. The combination together sold for $2,500, which is not small money, but when you think about, having a very high quality amp and a very high quality large planar, not planar headphone all in one package, then it's like you can wrap your head around that money. It's not insane for what's happening out there in the market. This guy is much like other Jotunheims you've seen. We've got balanced and single-ended inputs and pass-throughs, but the headphone cable has basically been reversed. It's instead of having the male, it's got the female, I think if I'm saying that right, 4-pin XLR, and just to help you not plug the wrong thing into there. And then over here you've got your standard switch and your pass through or not. And then this is kind of interesting. This is baffle compensation. So for the SR1A that's like completely open, you need to turn that on, or it's recommended to turn that on. And for the LCD-R, you're recommended to turn that off because these are what is this, like circumferal? I can't remember the term, but basically, circummural. Murdering that. Please ignore that. Just pretend I edited this part out, which I don't, because who has the time? Anyway, because these are a more traditional shape and over your ear, then you don't need the baffle compensation. So, blah, 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 blah. Speeds and feeds. How do they sound? They sound awesome. I really like the sound signature of these. It is just a very, very engaging listen. I sort of say hard to look away or hard to listen away. It's hard to turn your attention from these when they're on your head, and that for me is always a compelling characteristic. They sound, it's interesting because there's some nice separation, but also the sound is like inside your head. So you don't really get like much, you're not really paying attention to the stereo nature, which can kind of drive me crazy in headphones where you're like, oh, that's in the right channel, that's in the left channel. It's perfectly blended like inside your head in a really nice way. And it's very intimate in that way, like vocals and stuff, they're just right inside your noggin. Clarity is very nice, I'd say. They're fast on their feet, but yet they have this like fullness and this richness. That to me is the story for these things. I think Audeze describes it as like smooth. I describe it as full. I think they're like have a little bit of almost that like E-stat like speed of, you know, a very light driver that just does a ton of acceleration and can kind of something can just appear out of nowhere. But they're tuned in a way, or they're balanced in a way such that you also get this really thick sort of full presentation, which is nice because I feel like a lot of headphones that can produce a ton of clarity and speed lean, like get really lean and kind of dry, and this is not my bag. These are not as resolving as like big time top of the line planars or dynamics. They are like I said, there's a lot of clarity, there's a lot of detail, but they're not going to win in a head-to-head competition with like a headphone that costs as much as this whole system in terms of like just pure detail retrieval. But there's some really nice punch and impact, and like drums can really kick. What's that guy's name? Danny Kiani, I think. It's this song Flight 19 where he's just like doing little percussive stuff and like I guess kind of scatting. But he's just doing these like vocalizations and doing this little percussive stuff, and it's just like pinging around your head, and it's really, really cool. Oh, you will notice that on the headphone itself, there are standard Audeze connectors. So if you wanted to try to run this off of another amp, you could. The amp, though, with like if you say wanted to use a speaker amp, would probably be your best candidate, would have to support very, very low impedance, so like 2 ohm impedance, and be able to carry a lot of current. I know people have experimented with it. I'm not going to recommend it. I think that's a great way to destroy a very rare pair of headphones. But hey, you have fun out there. Yeah, it's a great headphone for like jazz lovers. You know, if you like world music. I don't know. For me, like the thing that was a little soft spot is like some pop and some rock just didn't quite sit right on it. I don't know. I can't really explain why I ended up feeling that way. But I guess stuff where you could like be a bit more intimate with the performance seemed to be where I was happier than stuff that was like super energetic or heavily produced. Yeah, nice rumbly bass. Bass gets down there. Bass is really good. So, yeah, I mean, these things are cool. Like, we'll see what Audeze does. I mean, it'd be great if this technology continues to proliferate out. Obviously, it's tough, just like with E-stats, where you have to have the specific Energizer amplifier that works with it. Here, you're sort of in that same boat. But I like that they worked with Schiit and they brought the whole thing out as a package, so it's not on the consumer to have to, like, sort out those details. And they're tuned for each other, so you kind of know that you're hearing, you know, what Audeze was going for. And I think, you know, these do sound like Audeze headphones, sort of in the way that the Carbon had a bit of that Audeze signature, and obviously the way that the rest of the LCD series sounds. If you like the Audeze sound, I think you'll be interested to hear what they've done here with this headphone. But you can also just stare at them all day because they look fantastic. That's what I'm going to do. I'll be here staring at these. So until next time, Signcraft, signing out.